What is going on? Welcome back to another episode Off the Schneid. It is Wednesday night. We are going to be drafting. This is, I think, the second to last. We'll see if anything's left to draft next Wednesday. This might be the last best ball draft episode. We'll see. Maybe I'll do something, on Tuesday or something like that. If BBM has not quite filled yet. We'll see if we get past this weekend without BBM filling up, and we'll see if they launch something else, something like that. But we're going to do this again on today's show. If you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe as well while you're down there, but hit that like button. If we get to 10 likes on this live stream, I will do a weekly winners draft after the BBM, after we talk about a little bit of main content stuff here. So a couple things I want to go over in this episode before we get into it. I talked last week about some guys that I'm heavily fading. Some were justified, some were not. So I want to talk about the guys that I'm fading, and it might kill me. I might heavily regret fading some of these guys, in best ball season. But it is what it is. I've made my bed, and I'm pretty much going to stick to it. I don't think there's a couple guys. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. There are a couple guys that we'll talk about that I have been making a conscious effort to pick up a few more shares as we get closer to the start of the season. I definitely have basically as many bullets as I would like left for BBM. I have I think I'm at 63 entries or something like that. So I've got a solid, 80, whatever, if I wanted to. Obviously, I probably won't get there. I probably will not be max entering this. By probably, I mean, I definitely will not. But we'll see how many I get into. So like I said, I have as many kind of bullets as I want. So there's a few guys that I will be picking up a few more shares of. But let's look at kind of the exposures for a couple of guys and the reasons why I might regret fading these dudes. So 333 lucky threes. If your lucky number is 3, then there you go. So 333 drafts. There's some just exposures of some guys, but they're not the ones we're going to talk about. Obviously, I'm not super happy with the Terrace Marshall bags. Little too much exposure for me. I do still like Terrace Marshall, but I don't think I should have been quite as exposed. Same thing with Devin Singletary. That's a little aggressive. Fine with A.J. Dillon. I'm fine with Kenny Gainwell. Tyquan Thornton, not happy with that either. And I'm okay after that, basically. These guys I'm fine with having this much exposure to. Not a problem. The only three of the top three there, Terrace Marshall, Singletary, and Thornton, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with those guys. As long as they're all, on a roster and playing, they're hopefully going to contribute to my squad. So, but let's get to the guys that I want to talk about. So the first guy that I'm fading that might come back to bite me in the ass, that's going to be Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 5, ADP first round. The only first rounder that I have on this list, 8.7. I'm looking at 3.6%, $94. So not a lot of exposure. And it's Stephon Diggs. He's a first round guy. Realistically, there's going to be at least 1, maybe 2, potentially even 3 first round draft picks that you need to fade, like Jonathan Taylor last year, that will kill your roster if you have a high exposure rate to this player. Do I know who that is? Of course not. Do I hope it's Stephon Diggs, considering what's going on here with my exposure? Yes, I do. Do I think it can be Stephon Diggs? I don't know. I think that this might come back to bite me in the ass. I probably should have got a little more exposure. 234, 266 total points in the past 2 seasons, over 100 catches, 1,200, 1,400 yards, over 10 touchdowns. That's pretty consistent production. That's basically exactly what you're looking for out of a first round, talent, first round wide receiver. So me fading him, maybe not the smartest or greatest idea that I've ever had, but I've kind of made my bet and I'm going to stick to it. I've also, soft faded a little bit of Josh Allen, 6.9%, won $145. So I've soft faded Josh Allen a little bit as well. I do like the running back situation here. I shouldn't say running back situation. I like I like Damian Harris quite a bit as the goal line back. I'm looking for, touchdown upside later in drafts as opposed to in previous years. I used to look for, and I think a lot of people used to look for, the pass catching back in the backfield. I don't think that's the way to go. Touchdowns are king. It's half point PPR. Look for the goal line back in some of these offenses, and that's Damian Harris for me. And I think I've got a pretty big bag for Damian Harris, 20%, 630. Quite a bit of shares of Damian Harris. I like him a lot. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm kind of soft fading Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. But I'll admit 100% this might come back and kick me in the ass, and we'll see. Moving on to the next guy, Davante Adams. Talked about him last week. I'll pick him if it makes sense. 3.3%, $77. If he falls quite a bit past ADP 15.9. So if I can get him, late second round or mid to late second round, that's where I'll be clicking him. I have a hard time taking him over, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now Nick Chubb's moved up. Guys like that, I have a hard time clicking him over those other options. So that's a guy that I'm fading. The situation in Las Vegas just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse with the quarterback situation. Offensive line's in a rough spot. Overall, the team looks okay, and that defense looks like it's improving. The defensive line is pretty stout, actually. But we'll see if this bites me in the ass again. It's another guy that this is exactly what you look for. This production is exactly what you want out of a first-round wide receiver, first-round talent. But, it just keeps getting worse and worse, and it's tough to, Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball there. His deep ball accuracy and percentage of deep ball throws is really, really low compared to top 10 Derek Carr last year, top 10 last year in deep ball, percentage of throws, which Davante Adams obviously, got a few more deep touchdowns, less receptions, same receiving yards roughly. So it's just tough to buy into that at that price tag. Could he be exactly what he's always been? 100% he could be. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game right now, but I'm just not going to be the guy holding the bag on an aging Davante Adams on a team and an offense and a quarterback situation that just keeps getting worse. So that's my 2 cents there. We'll move on. Fantasy Football Garage, what's up? Good to see you. Tony Pollard. I talked about it last week. This is the guy that's going to be, this is a hero or the GOAT. I might be the GOAT. Maybe I'll be a hero. We'll see. I have 0 shares, zero, not a single share of Tony Pollard. Call me crazy. I'm okay with that because it is a little crazy. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm going to stick to it right at this point. I'm going to stick to it. I'm not going to, panic pick Tony Pollard in the first round every draft I have. It just doesn't make sense. My worry with him is he shouldn't be, the goal line back on this team. I'm starting to think maybe that's got to be Hunter Lipke. We'll see. I might be picking up a couple shares of Hunter Lipke as this draft season kind of wraps up. But, his increased usage, broken leg last year, that's a big deal. Broken leg. It's his last year in his contract here. I'm baking in a little bit more injury risk than I should. And I normally don't do. I don't draft as if players could get hurt. I just don't do that. And I don't recommend anyone else do that. But I've found myself kind of falling into my own trap of avoiding Tony Pollard, thinking there's a good chance that he gets hurt and his production falls with more touches or the potential for more touches. He's not a 20 to 30 touch guy. He's not that, and he's never going to be that. And they don't have another back on the team to take that pressure off unless it's Hunter Lipke who's running between the tackles and is that goal line back, which is possible. And I might pick up a couple shares. We'll see if I draft him in today's draft. I might just do that depending on how it falls. But that's what I'm doing with Tony Pollard. Could it kick me in the ass? 100%. This might be the worst fade of all time. Might be the best fade of all time. So it is what it is. I'm not going to jump ship on this. I can't just start drafting Tony Pollard. Yeah, it's my player take and I'm sticking to it. There's no point in switching now. There's really no point. It's either I'm going to be killed regardless. I'm either going to get killed or I'm going to be right. And I hope that I'm right, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, stick to your guns and kind of see what happens. Again, hero of the GOAT. We'll see. One of the next player is a guy that I was unjustly fading. I was unjustly fading, and I've started to pick up more shares as and to be honest, it's the worst time. This is exactly what I'm talking about with Tony Pollard, why I'm not. His ADP is rising, and I've faded him the whole summer. No point in picking him. Calvin Ridley. This is a guy that I have been making an effort. There's two players on this list. This is the first one. There's only a couple more, so I'm not going to take up too much time talking about these fades. Let's get into drafting. But Calvin Ridley is a guy that I've been fading, and I need to pick up some more shares. 4.2%, $110. That's not enough. After seeing what he's done in this preseason, seeing his target share, he's in great shape. He's not, it doesn't look like the game is, gotten too fast for him or something in his year off. I regret not taking him earlier in draft season when his ADP was in the 30s. You could get him in the third, maybe fourth round. That's on me. Bad take. Like the title of this episode says, everybody makes mistakes. This is a guy that I can pick up some shares on, not like Tony Pollard, but with Calvin Ridley, I think I can pick up some shares because I did already have a few here and there. I need to pick up some more. And like I said, this is a guy that I'm going to make a conscious effort to draft more Calvin Ridley, get a few more shares as best ball season winds down. It's on me for not picking him earlier in the best ball season when his ADP was lower, but what are you going to do? Better late than never. And we'll see where it ends up as far as my exposure. I'm hoping to get that up to, the 8% kind of bar that, means you're ahead of, the field on this player. So that's what I'm going to try to do with Calvin Ridley. We'll see if it works out. Wish me luck, but we'll see. It's another guy I might draft tonight if all goes well. Second to last, we got one more after this player. That I'm fading pretty hard. And this is another one that might, the reason why this might come back to kill me, it's Joe Mixon. This might come back to kill me because of my just distaste for Joe Mixon, not only as a person, but as a player. I've never liked Joe Mixon, massive Bengals fan, but I've never liked Joe Mixon as a player. He's always just kind of been trying to hit home runs. I've said it time and time again on this channel. Joe Mixon is just not a very good running back, period. If anyone else, if you gave any other decent running back the kind of volume that Joe Mixon gets, they would be just as efficient, if not more efficient and better in that offense. But the reason why it might kick me in the ass, because whether I like it or not, and I do not like it, but whether I like it or not, Joe Mixon is on this team. He's the number one running back by a large margin, and he's going to get that volume again. So, the problem that I have with this, if you take out one game last year, this cuts down to 150 points. He had a 56-point game last year. So take that game, cut it in half, and he's nowhere near this point total. But again, he's going to get that production or volume. He's going to get that volume. Look at this yards per carry. Atrocious. But, almost 10 touchdowns, 16 touchdowns in 2021. He is getting a little older. I like Chase Brown a lot, as, my Chase Brown bags will tell you. 22.8%. Pretty invested in Chase Brown. I think as the season goes on, if Joe Mixon gets hurt, maybe a suspension comes. That doesn't look like it will happen at this point, even though it probably should. But here we are. Joe Mixon's going to get that volume. I might be left, kicking myself after the season if Joe Mixon ends up, as a top 10 running back right now being drafted RB13. Early in the summer, he was going as, late as probably RB16. And I didn't pick up shares at that point either. What did I look them up here? There you go. 1.8% $28 on Joe Mixon. Just not, this is another guy with Tony Pollard. I'm not going to try to panic pick, Joe Mixon to try to pick up some shares. It's just not going to happen. I'll live and die on this one. Hero the GOAT, another one. So, hard takes, hard stands, but that's either going to win me a lot of money or not win me too much. You know what I mean? Or lose a little bit. It is what it is. Last guy. This is another guy that I absolutely have been, and I'm going to continue to as best ball draft season kind of winds down here. I got to make a more conscious effort, and I have been, to draft more of this guy and get more shares, and that's Dameon Pierce, RB19, ADP 60.1. The only problem I have with Dameon Pierce, the biggest and really, the only problem, I loved him last year. I was drafting him more than probably anybody. I had a massive bag of Dameon Pierce, just didn't have enough other pieces to kind of get me through. But the reason why I'm not drafting him a ton this year is because of his playoff schedule. And all the money is in the playoffs in best ball, especially best ball mania, right? So if he doesn't get me there, he advance rate. Yeah, absolutely. He's going to help advance rate 100%. No problem there. But once you get to the playoffs, he plays the Tennessee Titans in week 15 and 17. So good luck getting out of week 15 with Dameon Pierce, because the Tennessee Titans run defense is one of the best in the NFL. So they're certainly top 3. They were number 2, I think, last year. Yeah, rookie quarterback, wide receivers aren't anything to write home to. So it's a little sketchy to have Dameon Pierce, as your RB1, 2, 3 even. No, 3 is okay, but RB1 or 2, it's tough to have Dameon Pierce when you're going into the playoffs, especially if your team suffers an injury. That's my biggest concern. But I will start drafting more Dameon Pierce. I have been, and I will continue to. 3.3%, $138. I think that's the most dollar-wise of any of these players so far. Again, I'll keep picking up some shares. The offensive line looks good on that team. Defensive coach, they should run the ball. My only concern, again, the playoff schedule. The playoff schedule really scares me for Dameon Pierce, but I'll pick up some more shares because I do like him as a player. And we'll see. So there you go. A couple guys that I'm fading that maybe I shouldn't be, but some reason why I am. And there's a couple guys in there, Calvin Ridley, Dameon Pierce, that I will make a conscious effort to draft more as best ball season, drafting season kind of winds down here. So if you're in the chat, hit that like button. 10 likes. We get to weekly. We'll do a weekly winners draft after the Best Ball Mania that we're going to jump into right now. So if you're in the draft too, you want to draft a Best Ball Mania with me, jump in. Let's get it. One left. Nice. Got a little pop for this one. All right. 110. Of course, I can't be, top 2 pick. I have hardly any shares of Justin Jefferson. It's really annoying. That's really, really annoying to not be able to get the 101, 102, nothing like that. But yeah, like the ticker says, hit the like button for me. If we get to 10 likes, nothing crazy, I'll do a weekly winners draft after this. Should be some nice overlay on that weekly winners tournament. Different strategies. I have my own strategy. I've been doing something that is either going to kill me or win me a week in the weekly winners. We'll see. I've been taking basically one quarterback and one tight end, elite, and then I just hammer running back, wide receiver. So either I'm going to do really well in a week or two, or I'm not going to win anything. And that's kind of just what the whole tournament's about, to be honest with you. So we got the 110. I do have a player in mind. I talked about it a few weeks ago. I've been consciously trying to get more shares of Bijan Robinson. I think I've kind of gotten there, but we'll see. If Bijan's there at the 110, might have to pull the trigger. But there's another player that I'm looking at that I do have a lot of shares of. I'm not worried about that, but I want to take them and have some different builds with this player, especially what I said pre-show about Hunter Lipke. He's a guy that I think is worth taking a look at, as a goal line back for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that, with the way he played and the way he ran the ball in that final preseason game, not only did it earn him a roster spot on the Cowboys, but might earn him that goal line back role on the Cowboys. Undrafted free agent, North Dakota State, had a very prolific college career. Sure, it's North Dakota State, but they've churned out a lot of talent. So nothing to, stick your nose up to North Dakota State. Unless we're talking about Trey Lance. All right. Kelsey at the 1.6. CeeDee Lamb at the 1.5. I don't hate it. This late in drafts, especially this guy, Red Badge, I'm sure he's got, tons of bullets in this tournament. You got to get different. You got to switch things up. Man, if Cooper Kupp's there, that would be pretty amazing. Okay, of course not. So I'm not going to go with Stephon Diggs. Like I said, I'm not just gonna chase. I'm not going to chase shares as this winds down, but I'm going to go with Amon-Ra. I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown, guarantee that I get him. Maybe he's there at 15, but I don't want to take that chance. I do, like I said, kind of building up to this, I just want to get different combinations of Amon-Ra. Even if CeeDee Lamb were there, I'm not taking him. I have enough Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb. Barkley's a good pick. Garrett Wilson's a great pick here. I'll take Garrett Wilson if he's available. Barkley and Amon-Ra, I don't mind that at all. I won't take Tony Pollard here. Again, besides what I said in the pre-show, besides my exposure to Tony Pollard, my 0% exposure, which is a little nutty, I'm going to have to go Garrett Wilson here, I think, unless I want to go Saquon. I think I'm going to go Garrett Wilson here. Yeah. I like Garrett Wilson a ton. Have maybe too many shares of Garrett Wilson, but I don't think it's that bad. I think I'm at like 14, 15%, something like that. There goes Barkley and Pollard. Barkley was the only other click there for me. Kind of setting up a bit of a zero RB build. I don't think I have too many Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, builds. Maybe a couple, for sure a couple, I'm sure, but not too many in Best Ball Mania. So we'll see. But this is kind of setting that up. I'll spill the beans here. If anyone's in the draft that's in the chat, if you wanna snipe me on this player, I guess go nuts. I'm not too worried about it. But I might set up a little Hunter Lipke 18th round pick, Dallas Cowboys, potential goal line running back. Played really, really well in that third preseason game, earned a roster spot, by far the biggest back on that team. And he, not only is he massive, they have him listed as, in the draft process and for the team, I think they list him as a fullback, which is kind of ridiculous. He's 6'1", 230 and ran a 4.5. That's pretty impressive. A 4.5 at that stature and to be listed as a fullback. Yeah, I like that, especially you can catch the ball too. So I think if I don't get sniped for some crazy reason in this draft, or I don't have like 3 running backs with bye week 7, I'll probably be setting up a Hunter Lipke 18th round, stack with Amon-Ra as well. So we'll see. We'll see. That's a guy that I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about Hunter Lipke. I think he's worth, especially in like DK, and I think drafters are both 20 rounds. If they're 20 round drafts, that's a guy for sure in the 20th, 19th, 20th. Absolutely. Cause he could be that goal line back. Tell me how or why I'm wrong. 6'1", 230, runs a 4.5. Sign me up. So where are we here? 34, 39. Definitely I have maybe not a player in mind. Ramondre would be nice. If I don't get Ramondre, I'm kind of going to have to go 0 RB on this build. I'm kind of boxing myself into that, which I don't mind. That's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe not necessarily what I planned coming in, but you take what the draft gives you. If you don't mind, hit that like button. If we get to 10 likes, we're doing a weekly winners draft after this, which is fun. It's a fun, I really don't mind that. I really don't mind that structure. It definitely gives you an in-season sweat. Could be fun. And absolutely some different builds with that. Like I said, I've been taking mostly one quarterback, one tight end, and then hammer and wide receiver running back. And hopefully it lines up to where my running back my quarterback and tight end hit. Typically they're correlated, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, Andrews, Lamar. And then hopefully everything else lines up and correlates with the week that they smash. So that's kind of what I'm doing with the weekly winners. I only have 14 entries so far. Should be tons of overlay too, which is nice for guaranteed money. Josh Allen slipping. Lamar Jackson kind of slipping. Jonathan Taylor slipping. That's obvious. If you want my Jonathan Taylor take, I'll tell you after this next couple picks for me. Little cliffhanger for the boys and girls. Got to go Ramondre here then. I like that. I was happy. That's the guy that I wanted to fall. Third round Ramondre, end of the third round Ramondre. Absolutely. And then tons of options from here. It's either Keenan Allen, Christian Watson, Najee Harris, any of those guys. Missed the first few minutes. How many BBMs am I doing right now? I think this is my 63rd or 4th, something like that. I'll probably get up to only a half max entry, 75. That'll probably be my max, 75. We'll see, but I kind of have endless bullets right now. Obviously, it might fill. We might see it wrap up by the end of this weekend, or at least close to it. I'm hoping maybe I'll do a stream on Tuesday if it's still open. I might just move the draft up a day. Move my stream up a day. Instead of Wednesday night, I'll do it Tuesday night if it's still running. Do I want to go Najee or Christian Watson? That's what I'm looking at right now. That's what I'm staring down. I will be going Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert might have an MVP type season this year. I really, really do. I would like to be later. I'm kind of reaching here, but it keeps me relatively unique. I'm gonna bring back some correlation later with this, and that's easy enough to do with Gerald Everett, with Quentin Johnston. I can bring back correlation for Justin Herbert, and then there's Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, the magnificent, marvelous, mad Marvin Mims. And we'll bring back some correlation. But if you want my Jonathan Taylor take, so who knows with this injury? Who knows if it is an injury? What's going on there? He's out the first 4 weeks, regardless, even if he gets traded. So there's that. You have to bake that into where his ADP is going. If I were picking him on a best ball team or any fantasy team particularly, but best ball is kind of, especially, I would have to have at least probably 2. He'd be my RB3, and I would be having, it would have to be, 7th round, 8th round, even something like that. I'm certainly not going to be the one holding the Jonathan Taylor bag. That's for damn sure. I don't have much exposure. I think I'm at like 3%, 4%, something like that. It's not a ton. And I'm obviously going to keep it that way. I think there's every potential that Jonathan Taylor doesn't even play this year. I think that that's certainly on the table. And for you to take a 0 in the 4th round of best ball drafts, that's a bit of a killer to that team, that roster. And I'm not taking that chance at all. I'm glad someone took that. To me, this guy is now dead. This guy's team is, basically he's got Gibbs, Waddle, and Kelsey. Nice start, not a bad start, but, Jonathan Taylor wouldn't have been my click there. That's for damn sure. But it is what it is. I wouldn't take him till, like I said, if I was going with, fragile kind of quarterback, fragile tight end, taking 3 and 3 in a 3-5-7-3 type of a build, and I'm just hammering running back, wide receiver, and then I see Jonathan Taylor there in the 7th or 8th round. That might be a situation where I take a chance on Jonathan Taylor, where I'm already like kind of set, at least in a good spot where I don't have to have Jonathan Taylor in my lineup in order to, advance and succeed. So that's what I'm doing. And that's the only kind of structure where I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor personally, where I don't have a quarterback or tight end early within the first 7-8 rounds, hammering those skilled positions, wide receiver, running back, and then take a chance on Jonathan Taylor late, way past ADP. All right, what are we doing here? The 5-10. Could be a really good opportunity to take, Dameon Pierce, the guy that I talked about in the pre-show there, boost up my exposure. Fits with this build. Deontay Johnson would also, yeah, there he goes. That's definitely a guy I would look at there. Did Waller go right there? Yep, Waller's gone. I like Waller. And then there's tons of wide receiver depth right here that I can get on the wraparound. So not a bad time to be taking an RB. And that's what I'll be doing. Dameon Pierce, like I said, I want to boost up my numbers a little bit, get a little more exposure to Dameon Pierce, especially when I have a running back already. If you're going like 0 RB and Dameon Pierce is your RB1, I don't love that. Again, the playoff schedule is just way too concerning. Way too concerning. If you're just jumping in the chat, hit that like button if you don't mind. If we get to 10 likes, we're going to do a weekly winners after this. George Pickens, that's a great pick. Going earlier and earlier these days. Jahan Dotson is pretty much one of my favorite clicks around here. By far one of my favorite clicks. And that's what I'll be clicking right now. Love me some Jahan Dotson. Where's Terry McLaurin's ADP here? Way back at the start of the summer, I had James Brimacombe Eagles on the show. And we talked about Dotson, thinking that by the end of the summer, we're almost there. By the end of the summer, that they would get at least really close to each other in ADP. So right now, Terry McLaurin's going 52.9, Jahan Dotson 65.5. Dotson was in the 70s. I think Terry was in the late 40s at least. So we've seen that get a little closer. That's exactly what we both thought would probably happen. But I thought it would get closer in this, to be honest with you, especially with the preseason Jahan Dotson's had. Man, I know, when casual drafters come in, a little bit more redraft drafters come in, Running back ADPs get pushed up, especially with the little eliminator. I've been saying this, since it opened, that they should have separated the ADPs from the eliminator tournaments and the regular best ball, best ball mania, anything else that came out. They should have separated those ADPs, in my opinion, because for me, I was part of the problem with RBs, ADPs getting moved up, because in the eliminators, I'm taking more RBs early. I'm double tapping RB at the back end of drafts. I'm going, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley in those eliminator drafts, because, you need that floor. You have to have that floor every single week. You don't have to finish first. You just have to finish 10th. Only like 2 or 3 teams get knocked out a week. So you just have to have a floor. You basically never have to finish. You don't have to finish first in your pod until the finals. That's the only time that you have to finish first in that in those eliminator tournaments. So I'm double tapping, I'm hammering, I'm pushing RB ADPs up in those tournaments, or at least I was when they were running. A little bit over now, a couple slows going. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm pushing up ADPs for running backs, and we're kind of seeing it, be potentially a detriment in these types of tournaments. Thoughts on Howell? I really like Sam Howell. I really like Sam Howell. Look what he's been doing. The biggest concern I had with Sam Howell coming into this whole thing, I believed Ron Rivera the entire time. When Ron Rivera says something, it's probably going to happen. Ron Rivera doesn't really fuck around. He doesn't he doesn't just talk a lot of shit in the media. If he says Sam Howell is going to be our quarterback, I believed him. I have a ton of bags in the big board. I didn't do any super flex this year. If I did super flex, Sam Howell would be on 40% of my teams probably, because you could have got him super, super late. And we've seen his ADP now get pushed way up. I think he's at like 160, 170 right now. Yeah, 166. At one point, he was completely free. And, it took a while. And I wish I had more shares, to be honest with you, but I have a ton in the big board, because he was literally, that was 20 rounds. I could get him in the 20th round. He was easy to stack. I've been picking up another guy that I've been picking up a lot of shares of is Cole Turner when Howell was going later, because that was an easy stack at the back end. Curtis Samuel is another, guy that you can get super late in the draft, 177 now, where you can stack with Sam Howell. He has that rushing ability. My biggest concern with Sam Howell coming into this, I cut myself off earlier, but the biggest concern I had with Sam Howell coming into this whole he's our starter guy was the offensive line. That was my biggest concern. They've looked okay so far in the preseason. That's going to be the weak, kind of the weakest link potentially for that team and for the success of Sam Howell. This is an easy click for me. Love me some Rachaad White. I've been picking up so many shares. Love me some Rachaad White. Oh man, do I have to? I'm going to risk it. But yes, love some Sam Howell. I'll keep picking up shares in 3 quarterback builds. He's not unless it's like, I have done a couple builds where it's, Patrick Mahomes, or maybe Justin Herbert. Maybe this is a draft I could pull this off too, where I have 2 quarterback build with an elite quarterback, and then I bring it back with Sam Howell late in the draft. And I'm okay with that, because I don't need Sam Howell to enter my lineup outside of 1 week, which is the bye week for my stud, elite quarterback. So I love him. I love him. I hate that he's getting pushed up draft boards. Quentin Johnson just gets sniped on me there. That sucks. But I'll take the Cortland Sutton bring back. That makes the most sense. I would like me some Marvin Mims, but I got a ton of Marvin Mims bags. Not a bad time to take Brandon Cooks either here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take Brandon Cooks instead, and then try to bring it back with Marvin Mims. Still might grab Hunter Lipke. That doesn't change anything. I like that pick. I think I'm going to do it in this team. We'll see. But we'll see when we get there. Yeah, big Sam Howell guy. We'll see. We'll see if that offensive line can hold up. Charles Leno's getting older. That's the weakest link on that entire team, and it's not even close. Their defense is pretty stout. Very, very good defense in Washington. Wide receivers are awesome. Running back situation is great. Tight end situation is just fine. Like I said, with Cole Turner, even Logan Thomas is still there. John Bates, they're fine at tight end. The weapons are fine. The weakest link on that entire team is that offensive line, which does, affect potentially Sam Howell. Man, you didn't want to take another running back, eh? You just had to back-to-back week 5 wide receivers. That sucks. Really could have used Quentin Johnston there. That's kind of what I was setting up. Took the risk drafting Rachaad White, but love me some Rachaad White. All right, what do I got for? I got to start thinking about some correlation here. 4% is not bad. Like honestly, there's nothing like. How much would you want? How much would you want of Sam Howell? Realistically, think about how you build. Do you build a lot of 3 quarterback, builds, a lot of 2 quarterback builds? How do you build your lineups? And do you want to take him now that his ADP is pushed up? Right. So where does who else goes in this area? Sam Howell, he's up there with Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett, Matt Stafford. Yeah. There's pretty huge tier break. You could maybe put Matt Stafford if he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's a completely different player. So, it's Sam Howell's Matt Stafford's a kind of an anomaly because he's a completely different player. If he's healthy all season, he could get pushed up to the, Russell Wilson, Goff, Rodgers area. But, that's the risk you take. But do you see him outscoring Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett? Maybe you could pick him over Jordan Love. I'm okay with that. But I mean, with that rushing upside, I don't hate that take. It's just, what do you, the later you get in drafts, especially quarterbacks, I think in 333 teams that I've drafted, 333, I think my highest owned quarterback is like 12%. When you're only typically picking 2 and sometimes 3 of a position, like tight ends are the same way. If you're only picking 2 and maybe 3 of a position, you're not going to get that much exposure. So I think 4% Sam Howell is perfectly fine, is what I'm getting at. That's perfectly fine. How much would you want? And would you be sacrificing other talent throughout your draft and throughout building your team just to make sure you get Sam Howell, right? Makes sense for this team though. Like I might be picking Sam Howell here, right? With John Dotson. I'd like to get a San Francisco bring back, but not likely going to happen unless Eli Mitchell's still there. But I don't like taking Eli Mitchell because he's just super fragile. He hasn't been able to stay healthy his entire career. When he's healthy and on the field, yeah, he produces, but if he's not, then, it's a bit of a killer. So, what do I want to do? Do I want to take my first tight end? If AJ Dillon's there, I'll have a hard time not clicking AJ Dillon. I just think that this is his floor. 150 points is kind of his floor. David Njoku would have been the guy I went with there for the Garrett Wilson bring back. A little frustrating, but that's okay. Dobbs. Well, it's AJ Dillon then. That's a pretty easy click for me right here. Yeah, that's an easy click right there. I can bring that back later, which I probably will do with KJ Osborne, who I really like for where he's going. Half the ADP of Jordan Addison. Don't mind Jordan Addison. I don't have a ton of shares of him, to be honest with you, but for half the price, I really don't mind a lot of KJ Osborne. What's up? What's up, Hart? Hit that like button, guys. We get to 10 likes. We'll do a weekly winners. We're at 5 likes right now. Hit that like button, and we'll get there. All right, 111. I really am going to start to get boxed out a little bit at wide receiver. So I kind of have to come up with a plan there. I'm only going 2 quarterbacks. It's just tough to take a wide receiver here, in my opinion. I think I'm going to take Dalton Kincaid, bring it back with Ramondre Stevenson. Like I said, I got to start mixing in some correlation. I don't mind that week 13 bye week. I will be taking 3 tight ends on this build. So I want my bye weeks to add up. I'm not going to be taking 2 tight ends with the same bye week. I just don't do that. It just doesn't make sense. I want as many opportunities as possible for these tight ends to enter my lineup. I like the correlation with Ramondre. I'm sure a lot of people have that correlation, but it is what it is. Fairly unique team, I feel like. Maybe not too unique. There's not a lot of. I gotta get I need a player whose ADP is dropping. I reached on Justin Herbert, and I'm okay with that. I really wish I didn't get sniped on Quentin Johnston, but it is what it is. I'll pretty much definitely be bringing it back with Gerald Everett as my second or third, probably second tight end. But I gotta start taking some wide receivers here. It's starting to get a little thin, but I like at minimum, I like these floor plays for these top 3. I like the floor there, and the ceilings are pretty high as well. So if they're in my lineup every single week except for their bye weeks, which is entirely possible, then I should be all right. Brandon Cooks can spike in there, help out. But and the unfortunate thing here is I have to go either 7 wide receivers or 5 running backs. The way it's looking, it's pretty much 5 running backs. I have more talent, I think, at my running back than I do at my wide receiver spots here. But we'll see who I end up getting. You gotta plan ahead. Like I said last week, and I say all the time, roster construction is the biggest thing with these drafts. You really have to plan out your roster, and then as the draft goes on, figure out how you're going to build your team. Is it a 2-5-8-3, 2-6-8-2, 3-5-7-3, whatever? You got to build out your roster in your head. Think about where you're going and how you're going to get there. So I'm just worried about my running back spot here because I do really want to take Hunter Lipke on this team, but I don't think I'm going to get there. Marvin Mims goes. That's really frustrating. It's funny that I'm talking about running backs getting pushed up draft boards and running backs are falling in this draft. So that's a little just not what I planned at all coming into this. But the best laid plans don't typically work out now, do they? But we'll see. Could be building out the Washington stack with Dotson. Could bring it in with Cole Turner in the 18th instead of Lipke. We'll see. And then Sam Howell in there. I'm getting a little boxed out at wide receiver. That's for damn sure. I will take Zay Jones if he's there because it's getting aggressive. Do I take Rashee Rice? Might have to. I might have to. Man, if Tank Bigsby, okay, good. I'm happy Tank Bigsby went there. I would have had to have taken him. I just don't think I can do the Hunter Lipke thing. I want to take Hunter Lipke. I want to, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for this team. Doesn't make sense for this build anymore. Now, especially because I got Brandon Cooks. I have to mix in some wide receivers. I could just finish out my running back room here pretty easily, and it would look pretty good, especially with my bye weeks for the bros. And I am a bit of a bye week bro. And there goes Zay Jones. I got to take Damian Harris here. I got to take Damian Harris. Match him up with Ramondre. Goal line back for a potent offense. Got to do it. And then I'm done at running back. So it'll be a 2-5-8-3 build is what I'll be doing. That's set in stone now. If you're just jumping in, hit that like button for me. We'll do a weekly winners draft after this. If we get 10 likes, nothing crazy, 10 likes. Definitely going wide receiver here, quite clearly. Even though there's some decent, I could go Sam Laporta here. That's not a bad pick there, to be honest. Match it up with Ramondre and the Brandon Cooks, but I like the Dallas side of that Week 17 matchup over the Detroit side. But I'll be taking Van Jefferson here. I like Van Jefferson. I think we'll see him get back to his rookie season or closer to it. And if I can get 150 points out of a 12th round pick, especially with the way my wide receiver room looks, yeah, sign me up. Give me Van Jefferson. I've also been taking a shit ton of Tutu Atwell. Probably have the biggest Tutu Atwell bag out there. I love him, Week 17 against the Giants. Multiple 50-yard plus catches. One went for a touchdown last year. That's at least one or two times where he's entering your lineup. So I don't mind Tutu Atwell at all. It's just about his health. He just got to stay healthy. Let's roll through the team here. Amon-Ra, a little bit of a reach, but not really. That's 10th overall. I wouldn't call that a reach whatsoever. You can obviously get him at the 15 instead of 10, but I could have went the other way, but maybe Amon-Ra's not there. So I don't mind picking that up. Bring it back. Garrett Wilson, Ramondre fell into my lap in the third. I'll take that. Reached a little bit for Justin Herbert. Kind of regretting that just because I don't have any correlation. I was hoping to get Quentin Johnson. I got sniped probably because the guy saw that I had Herbert. I think people do that all the time and, snipe me on Quentin Johnston just to, make sure I didn't get him, which is whatever. Damian Pierce, been trying to get more shares of him. There you go. Jahan Dotson, one of my favorite clicks. 63rd overall. Rashad White falls in my lap. You could certainly make the argument that I should have taken Quentin Johnston there instead of Rashad White. Could have had him, but I thought Quentin Johnston would fall back to me. Didn't really make sense for this guy for Buffalo to pick him. But he does a lot of drafts. Maybe he just needed to, get his exposure up, or he wanted to snipe me. That's possible too. Brandon Cooks brings it back from the Amon-Ra pick. AJ Dillon, Dalton Kincaid, Damian Harris, Van Jefferson. Correlated with New England, Buffalo twice. I got Dallas, Detroit, Week 17. That's it for right this second for correlation, but I'm definitely going to get a little more correlated at the end of the draft here. That's for sure. 9 picks away. I'm thinking of a player. Thinking of 2 or 3 players. So, yeah. Man, I just had a tweet 2 days ago, something like that. 2 days ago, where I got into it with another guy about the nonsense that he spits, but it was about Mac Hollins. Definitely a guy, will not be a dead roster spot. Absolutely. My tweet said something like, for me, he was a perfect pick for the eliminators, because he's a week 11 bye week, and you certainly want to avoid stacking bye weeks in those eliminators. You need as many players, period, able to enter your lineup throughout that whole tournament, right? So with only 2 teams on a week 11 bye, and the other being the Colts, I don't have a ton of Colts at all, but the week 11 bye week for the Atlanta Falcons, Mac Hollins is the perfect pick in the 18th round, even 17th round in those eliminators. But you're absolutely not wrong at all. Mac Hollins is a great pick in the 18th round in any format. I just thought he was absolutely perfect for those little eliminators, or the other eliminators, the regular ones. I got boxed out of that, missed that. But I got the max entries in the little eliminator. I got 4 slows running right now. At the very least, I think 2 of those will have Mac Hollins on them. And I could end up on this team. This is a perfect team to take Mac Hollins. What doesn't line up with my current players? I need 8 wide receivers, 3 more. Yeah. I might be doing that. Definitely won't be a dead roster spot. Love that call. I love that call. Love that take. Oof, I do really want Sam Howell there, as we talked about earlier, but I don't think it's entirely necessary. If I can get 2 of some of these other players here, I need to mix up some correlation. Gerald Everett's obviously one of the guys that I want. Jonathan Mingo is a guy that I don't have enough of with all of my Terrace Marshall shares, but he's a guy that I want to pick up more. KJ Osborne was a guy I definitely was going to pick there. Maybe that opens the door for Sam Howell. Jaden Reed is a good pick here. I do already have AJ Dillon, so that's not entirely necessary. These guys could be looking at picking up some more tight end help, so I will get a little mini stack with my reach on Justin Herbert. I got to get at least 1 pass catcher for Justin Herbert, so there you go. Another guy I can certainly look at is Joshua Palmer. Again, with the bye week situation, I can grab him, and that makes sense. A guy that would make some sense here as well is Jake Ferguson, Jalen Hyatt, Jake Ferguson, Sam Howell, all make sense for this team. With the 2 tight ends, I think I got to catch up at wide receiver here. I don't have to take Sam Howell again with his ADP kind of skyrocketing a little bit. That he's a little overpriced for me. I like Jalen Hyatt, especially late in the season. Gives me correlation with Van Jefferson. That's a game that I'm targeting the Rams and Giants, just trying to get one piece of each side, and hoping that I hit those 2 in week 17. So I'm relatively correlated. I'm not super duper concerned about that right now. If there's a tiebreaker, I might veer on the side of correlation, but we'll see. Hopefully, if Sam Howell makes it to be at 178, that'll be a snap click. That's for damn sure. And then I can get my 3rd tight end with Cole Turner as well, who had a really good preseason. Don't think Logan Thomas is going to stay healthy all year, and John Bates is not playing over Cole Turner. That's for damn sure. So with this comment earlier about Sam Howell, 4% Sam Howell, same thing with Cole Turner. I want to get to, 3%, between 2 and 4% of Cole Turner is where I want to get. I don't know what I have for Sam Howell as it sits right now. We can take a quick look if we want. 13 picks away. Let's see my exposure on Sam Howell. Just show how many teams I got. 333. Let's see the pre-draft. 6.1%. I'm all right with that. Wouldn't mind it a little more because I did a lot of three quarterback builds. What are we doing here? Whoops. 330. See my exposure. Sam Howell, 4.5%. So I'm right there with you. Spike, right there with you. That's about all you want. That's where you want to be on these guys that, you know, may or may not hit, may or may not be anything. You're throwing a dart on. Yeah, 2% Turner. There you go. So if you got 4% Howell, 2% Turner, you're right there. You probably got some Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, even Curtis Samuel. All those weapons are really nice pieces for even Curtis Samuel. Like Curtis Samuel goes super late, but look at this production. Even runs the ball a little bit, 38 attempts running the ball, 92 targets, right? 150 points. If I get 150 points out of a 15th round pick, you are absolutely laughing. That's another really good eliminator pick, in my opinion. I'm a little bit overweight on Curtis Samuel, probably. Let's take a quick peek at Curtis Samuel while we're talking about these. 11.4 Curtis Samuel. Might be, yeah, like I said, a little overweight, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay. And there he goes. That's okay. Wasn't looking at him. Sam Howell went while we were away. That sucks, but that's not the end of the world. I've got Justin Herbert. I literally do think that he could be an MVP candidate this year. He should be in my lineup every week except for week 5 when he's not playing. But that does mean I need to mix in a different quarterback here. So we'll see. We'll see who ends up being the guy for me. Could be Bryce Young. I'm all right with that. He looked pretty good in the preseason. Where am I at with my build here? 2 more wide receivers. Could be looking at Matt Collins. That's certainly a guy that's on my radar. Done at running back. Tua and Daniel Jones probably done there. I don't see him taking a third quarterback. Certainly could use some running back help or some wide receiver help and a tight end, so I can leave Bryce Young to the wraparound. Don't mind Hunter Henry here at all. And I would be taking Hunter Henry over Devontae Parker. Absolutely. I'm going to go that route. And then just juice up that Buffalo, New England stack for week 17. Juice that up a little bit. Got a few pieces there. And then I'll be taking a naked Bryce Young, which I don't particularly love, but it is what it is. I kind of got boxed out at quarterback. Not a problem. I really wish Sam Howell was still going around this range, but that's all right. I could just take a naked. I could push it all, to be honest. I could take a naked Ritter. I'm not even opposed to naked CJ Stroud. Don't particularly care, considering I just need week 5 replacement. Let's go naked Ritter. go naked Ritter here. And then I'm done outside of wide receiver. If you're in the chat, hit that like button. A couple more likes. We'll do a weekly winners after this. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Appreciate the chat. Good stuff tonight. Spike, appreciate it. A lot of good chatter. I like that. That's exactly why we do this. You called it. You called it. Pretty easy. Makes sense, right? Yep. Makes sense. Little Josh Palmer, little Mac Hollins. Finish out my wide receiver room. Get a little correlation with Desmond Ritter. Wish I had a Chicago Bear. Would have been nice somewhere on here for a little week 17 correlation, but that's okay. So unless something crazy happens, I don't think there's any reason for me to get sniped on these guys. But you never know. People get crazy. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for all the chatter tonight. All it takes is one person to be appreciative. That's why people like me do this stuff. It's fun. It's a good outlet. Get some shit off my chest. It's fun to chat football. Little peek behind the curtain into what I do and what may or may not work for me. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But you got to live and die with your takes. Live and die. Be ready to die for your takes. And with my 0% Tony Pollard, I'm ready to die for that one. And I might just on that one. That's a little aggressive, but we'll see. Maybe it'll work out. That does happen. If Tony Pollard gets hurt, I obviously hope that does not happen. But if something, or is just not as efficient, as he was with less touches, I'm going to be looking pretty good. So we will see. We will see. I'm liking the way this team is coming together. This is certainly unique. This is certainly unique, right? Justin Herbert, Desmond Ritter, Ramondre Stevenson, Dameon Pierce, Rashad White, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris. No overlapping bye weeks. Not that particularly matters, but it's nice for this, especially when you only have 5 running backs. Makes sense. Plus the guys I have, I'm happy with all these players. Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Jahan Dotson, Brandon Cooks, Van Jefferson, Jalen Hyatt. A little bit of correlation there and there. Dalton Kincaid, Gerald Everett, Hunter Henry. Looking pretty good. I like this build. I like this build quite a bit. We'll see how it finishes up. As long as I don't get sniped, I know exactly how it's going to finish up. Yeah, man, you're not the only one that's got a lot of Tony Pollard bags. Like a lot of people do. It just got to the point where, I was concerned about the leg. I was concerned about his broken leg. There was concerns about the franchise tag. Was he going to sign it? Was he not? Things just kind of got away from me, essentially. And then once it got to that point, I made a stand. And, I talked about it pre-show. There's no point in me trying to catch up now that his ADP has risen. With the other guys, Calvin Ridley, Dameon Pierce, the 2 guys I said pre-show, I did have some shares already. I did have some exposure. So it's a matter of adding a little bit more. I had literally 0 shares of Tony Pollard. There just wasn't builds where it made sense to me to bring him in, especially with the risk that I thought I would be taking on. So I'm not saying he's a bad pick. I'm not saying I honestly think I'm probably going to be wrong on this one. I really do. I really think that he's the poster child for hero or GOAT status for yours truly Off the Schneid here. It's going to be, either I'm going to look like a genius or I'm going to look like an idiot. And to be honest with you, it's probably the latter. And I'm prepared I'm prepared to live my life if that happens. It is what it is. It is what it is. All right, next up, ready to pick. I got two wide receivers in mind. There's one, Josh Palmer. Got 2 pass catchers for my Justin Herbert. Probably the 2 unique ones. I wish I had a bring back from the Denver Broncos, but beggars can't be choosers. Marvin Mims is still moving up in ADP, and my Marvin Mims bags are absolutely stuffed. So I'm not too worried about not having enough exposure to Mims. That's for damn sure. I got tons of Marvin Mims bags. Spike knows who I'm picking. I know who I'm picking. Matt Collins. Just makes too much sense. Too much sense. Wrapping up the draft. Checking the likes. Only have 5 likes. If we maybe got to 8 or so, I probably would have done it, but it's getting a little late. Maybe next time I'll do the same thing next week on Wednesday. Actually, if Best Ball Mania is still open, hit that like, subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you'd like. Get notified when we go live, when I go live. Sometimes I have guests, sometimes don't. But I'll probably do another final stream. Maybe Tuesday, maybe Monday or Tuesday. It's a long weekend. So it probably fills, if we're being honest here. Probably fills after the weekend. But if it's not, I'll jump in. I'll do another stream. Man, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I like this team. It should be a unique team. I got a lot of correlation. You never know. You never know. Quarterback room's a little bit light. It kind of hinges on, Desmond Ridder being able to at least push into the lineup at least week 5, obviously, and then hopefully maybe 1 or 2 pick off a little bit here and there. But we'll roll through the team. Justin Herbert, Desmond Ridder, Ramondre Stevenson, Dameon Pierce, Rashad White, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris. Love this RB room. I really do. I really, really do. It's not a lot of capital. It's not a lot of capital, which I really, really like. There's no double tapping from what I recall. No double tapping of running back. So, and to have that strong of a running back room, and what my opinion is a strong running back room, and no bye week overlapping, I really, really like this running back room. Obviously, if Justin Herbert is an MVP candidate, like I think he can and will be this year, then this quarterback room is just fine. You only need 1, not a problem there. If Desmond Ridder can get me 15 points in week 5, great. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jahan Dotson, Brandon Cooks, Van Jefferson, Jalen Hyatt, Joshua Palmer, Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins obviously pairs with my Desmond Ridder late stack. Justin Herbert got a couple pass catchers late, Joshua Palmer, and then Gerald Everett, my tight end room. Love this tight end room too. Not a lot of draft capital. 3 late tight ends makes sense. Don't overlap the bye weeks because, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to overlap bye weeks if you're drafting 3 tight ends. You want all 3 guys to have as much opportunity to enter your lineup as possible. So that's kind of what I did. Correlated. Week 17 correlation, stacked with my quarterback. I got a lot of correlation here, a little bit. Van Jefferson with Jalen Hyatt, Brandon Cooks, Amon-Ra, and then the Buffalo, New England. Good-looking team. Good-looking team. But, yeah, that's it. I appreciate it, guys. If you don't mind, hit that like button, subscribe button on your way out. Keep an eye on the channel. We'll do, if this hasn't filled, if the BBM hasn't filled by, man, I got a little sun. I was golfing yesterday. Got a little sun. If BBM hasn't filled by Tuesday, I'll definitely do a stream on Tuesday. Maybe one on Monday. We'll see. So hit that notification bell if you want to get notified. Other than that, like I always say, the motto for Off the Schneid: if you're afraid to be wrong, you will never be right. Hopefully tonight we were right. And we'll see you on the next episode. Take care, guys. Thanks.